there, and welcome to Locked in Solidarity Week. My name is Kevin Riggs, and I pastor Franklin Community Church in Franklin, Tennessee, as well as run a couple of nonprofits. And part of what I do is to go into prisons, mainly in my state of Tennessee, but also in the country of Honduras. And our church has a ministry in the county jail as well as the maximum security prison in Nashville, Tennessee, and death row. And so last year, if you remember, I wrote a sermon and a teacher's guide about the death penalty, and Pastor Kevin Burns, who is on death row and is an ordained minister of our church, had a prayer in that many of you have commented on. And so it's my privilege to be able to once again write a sermon and a teaching study guide for Locked in Solidarity Week. And this year, the theme, or at least the theme that I've chosen, is, and the title of the lesson is, It Takes a Community. And let me just take a few moments to explain why I chose that particular one. This has been a tough year on everybody because of COVID, but it's really been a tough year on people who are incarcerated. Prisons and jails are one of the places where COVID, if it gets into the system, spreads rapidly. Lots of jails, lots of prisons, and lots of inmates have had to deal with this. There was one prison in my state that over 50% of the population of the prison had COVID, had tested positive. Then adding to this is that really since March, at least in my state, and I think in a lot of places, all programming has been stopped inside jails and prisons. In other words, there's no one going in for any type of programming, no volunteers, religious or secular programming. There's nothing going on. And to this day, here we are in January or February when Locked in Solidarity hits, in the state of Tennessee and other states across the country, inmates are still not allowed to have visitations. And so no one from their family can come in, no friends, no spiritual advisors. There are no church services going on, and so it has been tough on them. And so, but yet in spite of that, every day, thousands, tens of thousands of people are released from jails and prisons and have to go back and are going back into the real world. And as churches, we have done a good job inside of prison. Oftentimes, I don't know what prisons would do if it wasn't for all the religious communities who are going in and, or before COVID anyway, going in and helping. But we need to ramp it up as a church to take care of people once they are released, to help them to get reestablished into society. And so that's the idea of it takes a community. Are we going to be there to help formerly incarcerated people get readjusted to society? It's the church's responsibility, I think, to do that. Hebrews 13:3, who I think most people in prison ministry know by heart, but Hebrews 13:3 tells us to remember the prisoner as if we were in prison with them. And the idea behind to remember is to continually to remember, to always be mindful of. And I think that includes when a person is released. And so I have a sermon. I prepared it like I would my own sermon, except it's a little longer than what I would use because I want to give you more information than you need so that you can come up with a lesson or with your own sermon based on some of the ideas. And then there's also a teaching guide. And the teaching guide, I hope, will help you, get some ideas on how you could present this in your own setting with your own people. There are several verses that are used. And the big idea, or the one thing that I want to really get across is this. As followers of Jesus, it is our responsibility to take care of prisoners while they are incarcerated and after their release back into the community. And so after an introduction, I use the story of the 10 lepers that Jesus healed to try to make a point. And I'm not saying that people who are incarcerated are unclean or anything like that, but the idea of banishment, all through the Old Testament, there are laws about how people would need to go outside of the camp. They were separate from the community for numerous reasons. But then when they came back to the camp, they would have to go to the priest, or by way of application, the church. And the church or the priest would say, you are no longer unclean, you are clean. You have paid your sentence, so to speak, And that was a sign that now they are coming back into the community and should be embraced by the community. And as churches, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be embracing these brothers and sisters who have been banished for whatever reason. When they come back into the community, they have paid their sentence, and we need to embrace them to the fullest to help them become citizens of a society again. That is our responsibility as a church, and that's kind of the heartbeat of this lesson, and it takes a community to do that. And once again, at the end of this lesson, Pastor Kevin Burns, who is at Riverbend Maximum Security Unit in Nashville, Tennessee, on Unit 2, which is called Death Row. He is there. I believe he is innocent of the charges that put him there. That's a whole other story, but that's what I believe. He is an ordained minister in our church. We ordained him. He has a church on Death Row called Church of Life, and I consider him to be my own personal pastor. And I miss him. I haven't seen him in a year now because of COVID. We talk on the phone and we write letters, but I haven't seen him. But Pastor KB, which is how he is called, Pastor KB has once again written a prayer. And when I talked to KB on the phone, I said, I need you to pray another prayer for me. But this time, and this, I was really taking a chance here because I said, this time, Kevin, imagine that you were about to be released. And he believes he is going to be released one day. Imagine if you're about to be released. Say a prayer for yourself because you know you're about to be released. How would you pray for yourself? And how would you pray for the churches who would receive you? And so it's a very personal prayer that he prays, but I think it applies to all people who are being released. So I hope you enjoy his prayer as well. So it takes a community. We need to be there for our brothers and sisters when they are released. Have a good day.